Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers the SA-2 Guideline missile on launcher, and it's a Trumpeter kit number 00206 in 1/35th scale. Now, the kit was originally released in 03, but was re-released again around 2015 with new parts. Now, the SA-2 was developed in the mid-50s, known to the Russians as the V-750 Dvina, and was the first effective Soviet surface-to-air missile. It could achieve a ceiling of 60,000 feet at Mach 3.5. Now, they used it to shoot down the Gary Powers U-2 over Russia in '60, and also in Cuba they shot down a U-2 in 1962 there with it. It's a skill level 2 kit for the intermediate builder and contains 158 pieces, molded in light gray with olive green plastic. And no longer in production, the kit is still available at online hobby stores and some large hobby shops too. It features a detailed missile and launcher base with control panels and a rotating base, and has nice instructions with water slide decals with markings for Soviet, North Vietnamese, and Egyptian forces. When you're done, the overall thing will be about 5.5 inches wide and 3.5 inches tall. Here are the contents for the kit, and we'll show you how to put these pieces together in a few minutes. But the first thing you should do is wash them and some light detergent with some warm water, and let them air dry. And remember, we'll be using liquid cement for most of the construction, occasionally some super glue for strength, but also remember to heed the manufacturer's safety and use guidelines when using any of the products you see or hear in the review. So go through the kit and find these components. That's what we'll use to begin construction for step 1. Now, first we're going to take the guided missile halves and put those together using some liquid cement, and hold them together with some light clips like these clothespins. In step 1, we'll use the liquid cement to continue with some of the fins and guide items that go on to one half of the missile. Here are basically the same items that are used to construct step 2, so get these out of the kit, and we'll put those together by gluing the remaining fins and control systems onto the missile body. In step 3, we're going to grab these components from the kit, which are the stabilizer fins and some of the control rods, and we're going to assemble those by gluing the control arms onto the fins using some liquid cement. In step 4, we'll begin working on the booster. So you can find these kits parts and assemble those for construction. And then we're going to glue the entire booster together, except for the rocket and the controller, using some liquid cement. So those will be glued on after the paint is applied here. The next thing I did was to paint the missile and the booster with some of the Tamiya fine white primer. It gives a nice smooth finish and doesn't lose a lot of the detail for small parts like this. I then painted the rocket and the controller with some Alclad gloss black base paint. After the base paint had dried overnight, I painted it with some Alclad chrome, which included the controller and the rocket engine. Next, we'll assemble the booster to the missile using these two parts that we've sub-assembled. I used some of the micro crystal clear product and glued the booster to the missile. And then, once that was dried, I applied the decals to the missile using the manufacturer's recommendations. And of course, you use plenty of warm water and some micro scale aftermarket products to help them conform to these tiny details and contours. Now apply that to the missile body, and once the decals are dry, let those continue to dry at least overnight. After the decals had dried, I applied a coat of Future Floor Polish, which is now Pledge Floor Polish, or any name that they've given it nowadays, to seal the decals in and protect them. And then I followed that up with a coat of Testors Acrylic Flat Clear to completely seal the paint and the decals to the rocket. Once that was dried, I used some of the crystal clear glue. You can sometimes use white glue too, but the crystal clear has a good consistency and seems to tack well. Now glue the rocket and the controller to the booster using the glue, and your missile is complete. Next we'll begin working on the launcher's base, so get these components out of the kit and stage them for assembly. Then place the rear, left, and right holders over the pins on the base's bottom. Don't glue the holders. I glued the base bottom into the base using some liquid cement, and then the remaining parts were glued on with Tester's liquid cement also. You see the rest of Step 7's components arrayed here for construction. So go ahead and glue all those parts onto the base using some liquid cement. Here are the parts that you'll need from the kit to construct Step 8 in the instructions. Glue all the parts here, as you see, to the base, following the guidelines, or you can use the illustration here and get those set those aside to dry. In Step 9, we'll use these components, so stage those for completion to construct the left control panel assembly. Now glue all the parts onto the control panel with some liquid cement, and the hydraulic strut does not get glued on. It's placed between the two main panels and allowed to swing freely. In these pieces from the kit, they'll be used to construct Step 10. Now we're going to glue all the parts onto the control panel with the liquid cement. These are the parts arrayed to complete Step 11 to construct the right control panel assembly. Now glue all the parts onto the control panel with some liquid cement. And again, the hydraulic strut and the gear are not glued on. The strut's placed between the two main panels and allowed to swing freely, and the gear rotates on its own. Step 12, we'll use these components to continue and complete the right panel assembly. Now we can glue all of those onto the control panel with some liquid cement. Finally, there's just some smaller pieces and grab handles that are added to finish that up. And be careful handling those small pieces, because if they escape your tweezers, they're probably gone forever. We'll use these parts for constructing the middle control box, and again, using some liquid cement, go ahead and assemble them according to the instructions, or as you see here. Gather up these pieces for the launch ramp assembly in Step 16, and a lot of them are very small. I suggest that when you're handling these with a pair of tweezers, you put a little piece of tape around the tips to keep the parts from flying off into the carpet land. Now assemble the pieces to the launch ramp as shown, or consult the instructions in the kit. The launcher assembly is constructed in Step 16, so go ahead and locate these pieces from the kit and stage them for assembly. Then glue the flame deflector tightly using some liquid cement, and after the launcher parts have dried, it's time to paint the unit. The remainder of Step 16 gets completed after the paint is done. Next, I painted all of the components for the launcher with Tester's acrylic Russian Armor Green. That's number 4807 in their catalog, and it's a pretty accurate color depiction of the Soviet era artillery, etc. Now we can complete the assembly of the launcher by gluing the pieces together that go together, but also remember here that the launch ramp, the linkers, and the flame deflector are not glued in. They're allowed to move freely. So go ahead and complete the assembly with the painted components, and your launcher will be complete. Well, there you have it. Your model is complete. This nicely detailed Trumpeter kit takes us back to the Cold War era, when tensions were high and rockets were being developed as weapons for both defense and offense. But if you put it on your shelf, I'm sure it'll look just fine as a display piece, reminding us of that time period and of your skill set. It's pretty easy to build. It looks great when you're done, and it looks launch ready. So if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. Well, we hope you like this premium step-by-step model kit build and review. And so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, but you can find us on Facebook and at our website. To subscribe to our channel, just click on the link in the lower right hand corner of our logo there on any of our reviews. Thanks!